Welcome to the new video, guys. Today we're going to be looking at all of the best decks from the new mini set. We're only going to be taking a look at decks that have new cards included in them, but I'm pretty sure the last top 5 meta report is still holding strong, and you could be hitting easy legend with those decks if you wanted to. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you do, a like and subscribe would be great, and you can check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But now, let's get into the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is going to be Control Death Knight with a couple of new cards included. Nothing too much fancy is happening over here, but the new Remnant of Rage definitely does spark joy for a deck like this, so you could be getting yourself a good amount of card draw with the help of this guy, because you do have a lot of tokeny stuff on your board, and this usually should be costing you something like 3 or 4 mana, which definitely does sound like a good price for drawing 2 cards. The rest of this deck is basically standard Leech Control Death Knight, but you don't have the Giants in here, so that's something to think about. You still have Maladar, however, so there's that. And obviously Elise plus Elise Canner with the Demolition Renovator are also in here. You have some Blob of Stars for early game aggression, the Ziliax is here with the Twin Plus Perfect module, and all around it's pretty much standard Leech Death Knight with just a couple of new cards included, and this deck actually does stand pretty strong with 60 plus win rate. We actually even have a little bit of matchups here, and Aggro Rogue, Dragon Warrior, and other Control Death Knights would not be too hard for you, so there's that. With a deck like this, for the mulligan, you are going to be looking for your good cheap stuff for sure. You don't have too much of the cheap cards, so anything that's under 4 mana usually does make a good amount of sense, and holding on to Elise is also a pretty good idea. Blob of Tar if you're curving into it, Xavius if you're curving into it and you don't have another good 4-drop, Demolition Renovator can make sense if you're against a class that could have Elise on curve, and if you're curving into something like Maladar or Sanguine Infestation, that also might make sense. On the coin, again, try to hold on to 3 mana or less, and if you're curving into a good 4-drop, you can hold one of those, but Elise always is going to be a keep. This is the deck I'm showing you, 60% 0.9 win rate, nice. We also have another variation of it with not as much win rate, but a little bit bigger sample size. Here it is, again has a couple of the new cards, but the rest again is standard stuff. There's also the Corpse Death Knight running a couple of these new dudes, and this is the more aggressive Corpse Death Knight I did show you a similar version of not too long ago, but this one also does run Monstrous Mosquito. Next up we have Aura Paladin. These are not in a particular order, by the way, or at least they weren't intended to, but so far this is another 60+% win rate. So yeah, Aura Paladin definitely did receive a lot of support with the new Acceleration Aura, and that definitely accelerated its win rate as well. This version is not as dragon heavy as the last version I showed you. This one goes harder on the Aura package. You still have Elise in here. A couple of Cardboard Golems also make a lot of sense, I'd say. Even Manifested Time Waste is in here. Puppet Master Dorian does fit really well in here because you basically get equip the 4 mana weapon, play Puppet Master Dorian next turn, and attack with the weapon, giving you either an extra 1 mana Ziliax or a 1 mana Gelbin, which is actually kinda insane. Getting yourself a 1 mana out of Chronos might also be pretty hot if you've actually already top decked the other two. So yeah, the Puppet Master Dorian definitely does have a lot of merit in this deck. We are running the new Acceleration Aura, and you get to fish out this thing quite nicely with the help of Violet Treasure Guild, so you're almost always gonna be ramping up with this deck. And all around I really like this a bit more aura heavy version. It also even runs the clunky Crafter's Aura, but with Gelbin happening as soon as turn 6, things could get very fucky for the opponent this way. For the matchups, here's what we have right now. Literally nothing but green. That's actually kind of impressive. I'll definitely try this deck again today and give you an updated guide about this new version. As for the mulligan, here's what it goes when going first. Always try to get yourself the Violet Treasure Guild. Righteous Protector is fine. Acceleration Aura can be great if you don't have the guild already. Cardboard Golem makes a lot of sense. Elise on curve would be amazing. Urson Mull also makes decent amount of sense. And if you're curving into Puppet Master Dorian, the opponent ain't too quick, maybe you should hold on to that too. Xavius can also be okay, the rest probably not so much. On the coin, again, try to get the ramp, the early game cards, Elise on curve, that kind of stuff. This is the version I'm showing you, 4,400 games, 59.6% win rate, kinda impressive, not gonna lie. Imbue Pally is looking pretty ass right now, and there's also another version of Bubble Pally here, which is also doing okay, with a couple of the Acceleration Auras basically. Spot number 3 goes to Dragon Warrior, and obviously Dragon Warrior did receive a lot of support out of this mini set, mainly with the 4 mana dragon everybody is trying to run right now. When I say 4 mana, obviously I mean 7 mana, but you always play it for 4. And yeah, this card is just way overtuned, guys. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. I guess the mini set felt like an absolute flop, and they were like, what can we do? I know, 4 mana 6/9. Why wouldn't you, after all? Wait, is that even strong enough? Heck, it is. Give it elusive too. I don't know, dudes. Like, like this card is sticking out like a sore thumb. Kinda seems like a pretty cheap way to fix a not so impactful mini set if you ask me, but it is what it is. I mean, it's kind of fun for now. Surely it's gonna get touched at some point, but for now, I guess it can stay like that, I guess. Other than that, what else does this deck have? Well, it's basically emphasizing on the new 6/9, so you can actually revive it a couple of times. You are gonna be running a couple of Succumb to Madness. Sounds like a weird inclusion, but why wouldn't you get yourself extra 6/9s this way? Obviously, you do have a lot of other dragons, but you are gonna be discovering the dragon to resummon, so usually you should be getting the good stuff. Does it run anything else new? Not really, even though we do have a couple of other decent inclusions. For the dragon package, this version opts heavily on the good old dragon warrior with a couple of Slither Drakes included. You have yourself some Growmash for endgame potential, Windpeak Worms obviously, Nomelia for board control, Chronolord Apoc, a single Librarian to silence stuff, Zephrys so you can go through shit, but the rest is just standard stuff. Matchup-wise, not too much stats on this one, but you are gonna be better against other dragon warriors apparently. For the mulligan, curving into the 7-drop would be amazing, so you could straight out hold on to it. Getting yourself the good early game dragons is massive, Brute Keeper is okay, Sanguine Depths on 1, curving into a Stonecarver on 2 could be insane, and depending on the matchup, Whelpity Infinite also might make sense, but try to keep a decent curve so you can actually be aggressive on the board. Don't hold on things like Sufficient, Precursory Strike, that kind of stuff if you ask me. On the coin, again, keep the good cheap dragons, the good cheap minions, the location, and the 7-drop Slither Drake sounds like a good idea for a turn 3. This is the version I'm showing you. Above 500 games for less than 2 days sounds good enough to me, and it has 61% win rate, so that's definitely pretty damn impressive. We also have a 58.6% with 3,300 games. This one does run the other new card as well, Dimensional Weaponsmith, which is kinda okay. It also has Draco Rex, but obviously the main driving force again would be the Slither Drake. And we have several other iterations of Dragon Warriors at the bottom, all doing quite well with the new cards. Basically, if it has the Slither Drake, it should be feeling quite okay. So far, we haven't been seeing something more spell damage oriented, like that 1/3 dragon definitely looked pretty scary, but for now, it's keeping itself at bay, I guess. Spot number 4 goes to Demon Hunter, and yeah, again, Demon Hunter with the aggressive package is gonna be opting for the Remnant of Rage, the Death Knight card we saw in the first deck, and everything else is kinda same old, even though this one also does opt for Press the Advantage. That card definitely does sound like it makes a lot of sense in a deck like this. And you even have a couple of Brewmasters in here. I'm not sure what that's about. Like, why do we have Brewmasters in here, guys? What are we trying to brew? The Remnant of Rage? I guess you could play him for 0 mana a couple of times, but really? Brewmasters? You could also be doing it on Glacial Shard if you really felt like it, but feels kinda weird, not gonna lie, but who am I to disagree? Do let me know in the comments if I'm missing some obvious synergy with this guy. Like, are you expect to play Broxigar? Cause I really think you won't, but I guess that might be the main idea here. It is still a pretty aggressive Death Knight, but it does have a lot of card draw to it, so maybe you are able to actually play Broxigar at the end a couple of times, but odds are definitely not in your favor. Anyway, the rest of the deck is pretty aggressive stuff. You should be able to draw cards with the Remnant of Rage quite easily, because a lot of things are going to be dying, both for you and for the opponent. You even have a single copy of Paraglide in here, with which you could even overdraw your opponent a lot of the times. We have things like Immolation Aura, so this way it's going to be even easier for your Remnant of Rage to draw for free, basically, and so on and so forth. We don't have too much matchups just yet, but if you're facing Dragon Warriors, you're not going to be very happy, apparently. Going first with this deck, you're going to be looking for your good cheap cards. The Axe might make a good amount of sense. Infestation, Press the Advantage is okay. Platosaur can also be worth it. Paraglide, I'd say if it's already outcastable for you. On the coin, again, try to get the good cheap minions. The weapon makes sense, the portal, card draw, that kind of stuff. This deck doesn't have the most impressive stats right now, but it's still 57-ish% win rate with 330 games for a couple of days. Sounds decent enough to showcase at least, but this is what Demon Hunter has for now, with new cards at least, so that would be your option if you want to be playing that class. And the last class on this list will be Rogue with the Imbue package, and I gotta say, a lot of people are playing a lot of different Imbue Rogues right now, none of which have too impressive stats. This one I think had something like 52% win rate, but let's face it, it's a Rogue deck, so the skill cap is sky high, and everybody and their grandmother is having fun with a deck like this, so I wouldn't be surprised if this turns out to be a top tier deck, but people are just botching the hell out of it. The Imbue package definitely sounds fun, but it is a little bit clunky if you don't get your good card draw in the early turns. is. This deck also has a couple of flashbacks in here, so you can have a lot more aggressive early game. The Deja Vu, the Nightmare Fuel can help you big time with the opponent's stuff. The Bitter Bloom Knight helps you with the imbue stuff. Same with the new Eventuality card, which feels pretty decent. Jagged Edge of Time is also another good imbue card in this one. And given we are gonna have a lot of other classes stuff, you also have things like Treasure Hunter Eudora, which is gonna be easy to activate, and you can even Shadow Step her if you want a second try. Opurian Scene makes sense here. He's your only 6-drop, so he activates Elise. Desdray Main also helps big time, repeating all of those imbue stuff you've discovered. Malorn can help big time, and Ziliax would be the Twin plus perfect module. Matchup wise, we don't have too much stats just yet, and as for the mulligan, I'd assume going for card draw, going for the imbue packages, that kind of stuff should be good for you. I guess you're not gonna be going for card draw as much. Look at how low Dubious Purchase is, and that's kind of your only card draw in this deck, which sounds kind of wrong, but that's the situation. And on the coin, again, you are gonna be looking for your good cheap stuff with the imbue package, the early game aggression, Deja Vu, that kind of stuff. Here's what I meant when I said everybody's playing this in all sorts of different iterations, and I think this is the version I'm showing you with almost 500 games with decent-ish win rate. But yeah, none of these are spiking too high in the win rate segment so far, but people are definitely experimenting a lot, and some of the more populated versions are under 50% win rate, so keep that in mind. It's not gonna be easy to win a lot with this. For the classes we haven't mentioned, there's a good reason we didn't mention them, guys. There are literally no decks for Druid, no decks for Hunter, no decks for Mage. Priest doesn't have anything to show for the new expansion, same with Shaman. And Warlock, sadly, Shred Warlock does not seem to be it, guys. I think this is the exact version I showed you in the last video, and personally I did have a very good success with it, and it did definitely feel a lot stronger than it used to, but still very pitiful results, not gonna lie. So that's really about it for the decks from the mini set with at least one new card. Do let me know in the comments if you guys actually managed to find some other meta breakers with some new cards. I would definitely be happy to test those. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to check me out live on stream each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thanks for watching. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.